I've got a really important story to tell you about now. It's how much money you make, and the question that so many people are asking, should you keep your salary a secret? This is a story that was in the New York Times. It highlights this issue, especially for women, knowing how much your colleagues make, and could it help you boost your own pay? Rebecca Jarvis is here. We've talked about this ourselves. I was so interested in the story, I blasted it out to a bunch of girlfriends. I want to start by asking the audience a question. Show of hands, guys. How many of you in here know how much your coworkers are making? Very, very few. How many of you would be willing to ask how much your coworkers are making? Would you be willing to have this conversation? No one.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay, so let's break this down. What are the risks in asking how much your colleagues are making?
So, as the daughter of a mother who pushed me to negotiate my salary from the very first summer job I had, I love that women are having conversations about money. That's such an important thing, to understand money and to be thinking about it from an early stage. But it's a delicate thing. As you saw from our audience, a lot of people, frankly, no one here is willing to ask their friends about how much money they're making. And the good news is there are a lot of places that you can actually go and find out about how much money people in your job are making. For example, LinkedIn, PayScale, Glassdoor, and the Career Contessa. Those are all websites where you can go and search by your experience level, the job, how much time you've spent in that company, also how much, what your location is, and it will tell you what the average salary is. That's very useful information when you go to negotiate. But Cecilia, I would say the most important time to negotiate is before you get your job, because that is the time when you have the most clout and power to get the highest salary.
Okay, so you're not before you get the job, unfortunately. You found out how much your colleague's making. This is the hardest part, especially for women. You got to go in and negotiate, and you got to talk money and self-worth.
Yes, which is self-worth is such an important thing. You want to go into that conversation with some wins at your back. The best time to negotiate for a raise is after at least a year within a company, when you're exceeding expectations, you've taken on new responsibilities, and you've had a couple of wins very recently. That's a good time to go in and have this conversation. But make the conversation not about other people, make it about you, the value that you bring to the company. Make it about the fact that you love your company, you love the person that you work for, that supervisor you're having a conversation with. You want to continue to add value to the company, and you believe that you are worthy of that higher salary.
I think that's my big question, though, is do you go in and say, so-and-so makes X, why am I not making this much?
No, that is the absolute last thing you do in that conversation, because then it's an adversarial conversation. You want this to be a conversation with the person sitting across the table from you, knowing your value, appreciating you. You want them to feel like you appreciate them, and it's a work together to get to that number. And I do think it's important that you put a number out on the table. That's a good place to negotiate from. Think of something at least in the 10% higher from what you're making range, generally speaking. Obviously, it's not one size fits all, but 10% higher, and go for the higher number. Say a higher number, because that is the place from which you will negotiate. And know in that conversation, or any level of pushback, you should expect it. Always use no as a jumping off point to continue the conversation.
You guys see why she's my life coach?
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.